Good morning, everyone. Has anybody ever heard the phrase, it's going to be my way or the highway? Anybody ever heard that? I love my dad. He taught me that one. My way is the right way is an interesting phrase, okay? And I can only think of one human that has ever existed on earth in which that is absolutely applied all the time. Right? Jesus. His way was the right way. You may have heard of a song before. It's popularly sung by Frank Sinatra. It goes, and now the end is here, and so I face that final curtain. My friend, I'll make it clear. I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I traveled each and every highway, and more, much more. I did it my way. Has anybody ever heard that song? So Frank Sinatra goes on to talk about regrets. He goes on to talk about some things that he bit off more than he could chew in his, this grand song that talks about how he mustered in his life his path, his way. That never applied to Jesus, right? That never applied to him. Regrets, that is. He never bit off more than he could chew. And as now we're focusing our minds and putting our heads to the topic of the Lord's Supper, if you would jump to Luke chapter 22. I want to perhaps hone in on the human of Jesus. Maybe in kindergarten and elementary aged, in our elementary aged years, we think about Jesus as kind of like the superhero who he never doubted. He was always certain, and what he wanted to happen was going to happen because he's the Son of God. He's Jesus. In Luke chapter 22, I think shows the human of this man. But I'm going to start reading in verse 14. When the hour had come, he reclined at the table, and the apostles with him. And he said to them, I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I say to you, I shall never again eat it until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of God. And when he had taken a cup and given thanks, he said, Take this and share it among yourselves. For I say to you, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine from now until the kingdom of God comes. And when he had taken some bread and given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. And in the same way, he took the cup after they had eaten, saying, This cup which is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood. But behold, the hand of the one betraying me is with mine on the table. For indeed the Son of God, the Son of Man is going as it has been determined. As it has been determined. But woe to that man by whom he is betrayed. A couple of days ago, in preparation for this morning, I reread verse 22. As it had been determined. The verses leading up to it, like it was supposed to be this way. Like the design was for what happened, and as it transpired, was on purpose. It was intentional. Was there any other way, right? That maybe you've thought this question before. Was there any other way for everything to get checked off the list that didn't require suffering for an innocent man, a perfect man? later in chapter 22, he's in the garden. I'm going to start reading from verse 40. Luke 22, verse 40. When he arrived at the place, he said to them, "Pray that you may not enter into temptation." And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw, and he knelt down and began to pray, saying, "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." In the high school class, maybe it was last Wednesday. I think it was last Wednesday. We were talking about what's supposed to happen, was always meant to happen, because it's been determined long beforehand. What is supposed to be, because that's the nature of the world. There was no other way for us to have a relationship with God than for his Son to commit his blood, his body on the cross. That was the only way, because that's God's way, right? Perfect, beautiful, scary, heart-wrenchingly awesome way. First Corinthians chapter 11. If you would turn there. The seriousness of the situation is laid out for us in Paul's words. I'll start with verse 27. 1 Corinthians chapter 11. "Therefore, whoever eats the bread or drinks the cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner shall be guilty of the body and the blood of the Lord. But a man must examine himself, and in so doing he is to eat of the bread and drink of the cup. For he who eats and drinks judgment to himself if he does not judge the body rightly." With in mind the very famous song from Frank Sinatra, the whole notion of my way is kind of disappearing on behalf of humanity. Humanity doesn't get to say it's my way, right? But God says my way. And God is asking for us now to reflect. Verse 30. "For this reason many among you are weak and sick, and a number sleep. But if we judged ourselves rightly, we would not be judged. But when we are judged, we are disciplined by the Lord, so that we will not be condemned along with the world. So then, my brethren, when you come together to eat, wait for one another. If anyone is hungry, let him eat at home, so that you will not come together for judgment. The remaining matters I will agree when I come." Now, we understand that this avenue of worship is not a common meal, and that the weight is the weight of it all is serious. But God judged that this was the way that it should have been done. So as we're remembering, let's examine ourselves and trust in Him. Thank you.